Hey everybody, this is Rob. Today I'm going to talk a little bit, by request, about relationships and how they are important, what they are, and why so many of us have a hard time maintaining them on so many different levels. What it all boils down to is this. Every relationship we have with other people is a reflection of ourselves. No matter who it is, no matter what it is, it's a reflection of ourselves. And I understand that there are two entities at play here. There's the one that's outside of you that looks back in and talks to you, but even that is a reflection from inside of us. Even though they're their own separate entity, the way we experience them is different from the way that entity experiences us, or that entity experiences anything in life. We have projected a mindset to those people and a specific energy with each person that reflects back to us in a manner that makes them understandable to us. So even if their experience is with you, it's still coming from you. Even though they're separate, even though they are their own energy, they're still a reflection of yourself. The law of attraction at the base states that the energy you put out is the energy you get back in. So what that means when it comes to relationships is I have a feeling of inadequacy. So what happens when you have that deep feeling of inadequacy? Well, it reflects back to you by showing you that you're not adequate. These people that are in your life that make you feel bad about yourself, that make you feel like you're worthless or that you're not worth connecting to, it's only because you feel that way inside. Let me give you an example. I am a man. I go to talk to a woman. I think this woman's attractive, so I say to her, "Hi, it's very nice to meet you. I'm nervous. I'm worried. Even when I feel confident, deep down I worry if they'll accept me." So the energy I project is, I am nervous about connecting with you. I don't think I'm good enough. So what do you get back? You get back, hey, it's nice to meet you, but I don't really want to connect with you. I'm dating someone, making excuses, whatever I can to get you away from me, because they have projected that energy back to you in the way you sent it. It's a nervous, imbalanced energy, and the way you get it back is the exact same way. So knowing this, we have to look at every deep aspect of our relationships. When we go back to our childhood, we look at our parents, the way they raise us. We go back to our siblings and the way we interact, even going back to the school children, the other playmates that we had, or friends, acquaintances, whatever you want to call them. We go back to look at all these. So let's look at our parents. Let's say our parents are really great parents, but they're not really attentive. And we feel that helped form us. But in the reality of the way it works is the reason that we have non-attentive parents is to reflect back a message to us about not needing other people to be attentive and still be able to do things. Not needing other people to support us and being strong. That's the lesson we needed to learn from that exchange. But the human mind works quite oppositely. It works in a way that says, these people aren't attentive, they don't love me, maybe I'm not worth loving. It always downward spirals. And this is not the true nature of a human soul. Perhaps the true nature of a human mind, but nothing near the human nature of the soul. So we look back at that and we say, well, how can I learn a lesson without going through these hardships? And the answer is, sometimes we can't. Sometimes we cannot do that. We have to learn lessons the hard way, because as humans, through our experience for thousands and thousands of years, that's the only way we've been able to learn. The way that the schooling is set, the way that our parents were taught to teach their kids, and all the way up through the generations, is to keep us closed-minded in a box. So what this has to do with it is it's a reflection of insignificance, a reflection of not being good enough. And that's why we feel that we can't connect to other people. It's not about the other people. the people that come into your life come into it for a very specific reason, because at the very base of all things, the law of attraction is always at work. And I know people say a law of attraction, hokey pokey, maybe not. It is what it is. It's a true law. It's a law that works just as gravity does. It's something that's there. So we have to look at that and say, why do I feel this way with these people? It's always a reflection from inside. Well, what is it that I can do to change this reflection? And there's only one answer. It's to love yourself. It's to understand, yes, you are human, you're going through the human experience, you have this nice, or not so nice in your mind sometimes, flesh suit that I'm wearing to go out to other people and connect to. But this is it. We are a huge amount of energy. At the very base, at the very essence of what we are, it's pure love. If you believe in a creator, if you believe in the law of attraction, then you believe the way that we came to be. You believe that we are here as a part of the creator. No matter how you feel about why, what, or what we're supposed to do, that's irrelevant. The fact is, we are part of the creator. We are a broken fractal of the creator's energy, and it is perfect. And the only reason we can't see its perfection is because we have chosen not to look at it as perfect. So how do we fix the relationships in our life? You have to see that perfection. No matter what. People say to me, I had a rough childhood, all these things. Yes, you did. But living back then is what you do when you reflect back to that. Now, when I see my past, I see rough incidences. Specifically, let's go back to one. My mother and my oldest sister used to fight, argue, scream when I was real young. And this was very disturbing. It got so bad that they would argue and scream, the police would come. My sister ended up having to go to a foster home for a couple months. Now, this was pretty traumatic for me as a child. I remember it very well. But now that I look back at it, I don't see trauma. I don't feel pain. I understand it as a lesson. And even to this day, when I try to break it down, I could probably explain to you what I think the lesson is, but that's not really relevant. I understand it to be an experience. And this experiences are so great in nature that we feel that we have to connect back to it. We have to feel like we're ending up revisiting those things energetically, emotionally, connecting with those specific events. But I don't have to do that. When I look back, I see it for what it is. It's something experience. People always tell you to live in the now. There's a reason for that. It's not because now is the only time, because we do. We vividly remember the past. And yes, it might be true scientifically, it might be true other ways, but there is a real recollection of that past. So for a human experience, you can't turn it off like a faucet. You can't say, this is the past and it didn't happen, or it didn't, because we feel that it has. So you have to realize that. But what living in the now is not giving any of your energy of who you are or what you are away to that experience. You've already lived it. You've already learned everything you're going to learn from. When you reach back there emotionally and say, oh my God, I had such a traumatic experience as a kid. I had such a traumatic experience that I can't cope with it. Well, it's because there's something in that lesson that wasn't taught to you. Something from that time is still not taught to you. So instead of giving your energy away to it in a way that says, I'm connected to this part really badly, what it is, hey, there's something in this experience that I haven't learned from. Look at it, but don't attach your emotion to it. When you attach your emotion to it, you're giving your energy away from now. How can you be the best you can be if you're constantly living outside of where you are now? You can't. You have to give yourself 100% motivational or 100% energetically to the now. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to manifest what you want as experiences now. So what you do is you look back and say, what was it about this that I didn't learn? And most of the time, it's going to be very easy to see once you get yourself outside of the mindset that, oh, these things are bad, or oh, this thing was good. Try not to approach it like that. Try to say, this is something from my past. It was what it was. Let's see what I can learn from it. Why do I keep getting drawn back to it? Instead of, oh my God, this is a horrific thing that ripped my life apart. Go back to it, revisit it, see what it is. See what lesson can't be learned, but keep your energy now. Don't emotionally attach, because then you're stretching back to that time, and that time's no longer here. And it's the same with future. People get wrapped up in the ideas of what could happen, what could I do later on, you know, what happens if this person doesn't like me, or this person. You're putting your energy way out there. And when you do that, you're not living in the now. You're not giving 100% energy focus to the manifestations that you want right now at this time. Yes, you can also look in the future. You can plan, you can do whatever you want, but don't emotionally set yourself out there. And that's why the term no expectations come to play. The expectations that you put on these things is basically putting your emotions out there, because it's a want. I want this, so I'm reaching for the future with my emotions. Keep your emotional, all of your energy here. The only energy that you should project forward or backward is thought energy. Small things of what happened, why it happened, what I could do, what I should do, but not emotionally. You give too much of yourself away at that point. Back to the idea of relationships being within you. So many people say it doesn't matter how much I've learned about myself, no matter how much I learn about other people, no matter how much I learn about these ideas and concepts, I still can't do it. But most of the people who are saying that, and this isn't a criticism, it isn't looking down, but it's because they haven't been able to accept themselves. They can't look at that deep level within and say, it's something that is helpful for me to be happy inside before I go out. I have so many friends who are going over and over and over again the same way in their life. They're almost stuck in a rut. They're jumping from women to women, relationship to relationship, never finding happiness. And it's for one simple reason, because they don't love themselves. They need that relationship to make them happy. They need that girl to reaffirm to them that they're good. They need that woman or that person to say, I love you, you're great, you're a good person. That's the only reason they can't find happiness. Because when someone else needs to go through their own things and they're imbalanced, how can they support you? You're basically having someone give you all the energy that you need to survive by saying, I'm willing to accept your love instead of my own love. And that's why it never works out. When you're using someone else's energy to fulfill your own self inside and out, you're never able to have that love. So what you have to do is you have to start from the beginning. You have to understand all these things in the past are gone. They no longer exist. You're able to restart yourself any second, any time, any way you want. Ever. You can start from the ground up and say, now it's a new existence. I am ready to start right now in my new life. And everything that happened before is nothing. It means nothing. It has no effect on the start right now unless you let it have that effect. If you say, well, because I was a kid and I was beaten up, or because I was a kid and I was molested, or because I was a kid and my family was poor, this is why I think this way, this is why I do this, this is why I act this way. You have to put that behind you. That's only a result of the way that you're experiencing all situations that have led from this one to this one. If you can look in and relearn from yourself from the top of your own self and build everything down and say, listen, I'm starting new right now. I love myself. I'm perfect as I am, who I am. You will set out the vibration of the people who can match that content. You will put out the vibrational pattern of someone who can love you and not expect from you. Someone who can love you without having to look for you to verify and validate them. Because when we don't love each other, or when we don't love ourselves, that's all we do, is we're using the relationships around us to validate ourselves instead of to share who we are with the other people. And that's why it never works. That's why it never happens the way we want it to happen. Because we don't love ourselves, we can't use other people's energies to make our lives happy. That has to come from inside. When it doesn't come from inside, it's all smoke and mirrors. It's all fake. It doesn't exist. You're only drawing off other people what you have inside already. You have to motivate yourself. You have to remind yourself that you are an infinite part of the Creator that is more powerful than any physical object in this universe. And for those who know science, astronomy, physics, you know that there are very powerful forces in the physical universe, and none of them are compared to how powerful we are when we're able to love ourselves, when we're able to connect to the parts of us that are higher than a monkey brain, than a illogical, schizophrenic type mindset that all humans tend to have. And once you understand that you are more powerful than anything, and that you're worth loving, that you are made of love, therefore very worth loving, then we can start sharing those experiences with others. Then we can give of ourselves to them and make sure that they can give themselves back to us without affecting them emotionally. Each person's different. Each person has different lines, different drawings, different ideas and concepts of what relationships are, and that those are all fine. I mean, there's nothing that's wrong here. Again, looking back at that idea, you cannot see things as good and bad, only experience to be learned from or joy. I mean, that's the only two options you got there. And sometimes you can mix them together, believe it or not. This is the problem with relationships. And once we find it within ourselves to love ourselves and to give ourselves the best of who we are, the best of what we are, and know that we are worth loving, then we start working on the outside, because it's only a reflection of ourselves. Once you understand that love that you have for yourself and living in the now, using all your energy to focus in on that love and the power that you are, then start looking for those reflections in relationships of other people, because that's all they are ever going to be. That's all they are, is to understand what we are inside. I love you, why don't you love me back? Well, you might love them, but you don't love yourself, otherwise they would have to love you back. I mean, it's a mirror. It has to work that way. It's a law, just like gravity. So if you're convinced that you love them, but they don't love you back, it's because you don't love yourself enough to see that reflection back. That a lot of the time when people think that way, most of the time the people who are sitting there reflecting do love them. They love them a lot, but they can't see that love because they don't have it in themselves. I have spent too much time with too many people day in, day out that cannot love themselves. So none of the relationships will ever come up to what they expect. Because once they learn that you can get that energy off of other people without having to get it within yourself, then they become expectant to it. That's the way I have to survive. Like a drug addict with drugs, like an alcoholic with alcohol. I have to get my love from other places because I don't have it inside. So they draw and they draw and they draw and they draw. But when someone else becomes imbalanced and can't give that back to them, it destroys your life. It makes you feel like you are worthless. It makes you feel like no one loves you. But that's not the case at all. There's been plenty of love given to you. Otherwise, you wouldn't have been able to maintain that in the same system you've had. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to have maintained that good feeling for so many days or months or years. If they didn't love you, you wouldn't have had that feeling of happiness with them in the first place. Because you didn't have it in yourself, you had to get it from somewhere. Every relationship goes both ways. Every relationship's a reflection of yourself. The only way you can do it is love. Love yourself, go inside, understand that you are worthy of love. Once you fix this, then you're good. So many people have fears and anxieties that go along with these social ideas. And the worst part about it is that those are only reflections of inner things. Some people have a hard time going in to look, what are these fears coming from? These feelings of inadequacy. And it all has to do with understanding that you need to love yourself. Great ways to see this is meditate. Try to put your intent out. What is it about myself that I'm having a hard time finding? Put it out. A lot of time you'll get it back. If you don't, then you need to practice the idea of mindfulness. Every time you feel an idea coming right up to the tip of the mind, smack it. Stop it right there. No, I am worth loving. I don't care what someone else thinks about me, because the only way someone can see you badly is if they are in balance, because you are just a reflection of them. The same way back. Stop caring what other people think. If they see you in a faulty light, it is because they are imbalanced, not you. Love yourself, and you can't even attract people who have the imbalances towards you in that way. This is what's meant. It all starts from inside. I hope this helps. I know it's a little jumbled. I get excited sometimes, but I hope this is what you need to understand about relationships and how important it is to love yourself. All right.